Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail quietly, slowly and invisibly while staying busy, staying comfortable and staying distracted. Every day millions wake up with the same unrealized potential, the same unfinished dreams and the same belief that someday they'll become more. But someday rarely comes, not because life is unfair but because growth is uncomfortable and comfort is addictive. If you've ever felt like you're capable of more, like there's a bigger version of you waiting to emerge, then stay with me until the end, because this might be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. Lesson 1. Comfort is the silent killer of potential. The human brain is biologically wired to seek the path of least resistance. It is a survival mechanism designed to conserve energy and keep us safe from the unknown. However, in the modern world, this instinct has become a prison. We equate safety with a lack of friction, and we mistake the absence of stress for happiness. Most people spend their entire lives building a fortress of predictability around themselves, choosing the familiar job they dislike over the uncertain venture they love, simply because the familiar feels manageable. This is the comfort trap. It feels like a warm blanket, but it eventually becomes a shroud that smothers your ambition. When you are comfortable, your muscles atrophy, both literally and metaphorically. You stop reaching, you stop questioning, and you stop learning because you have convinced yourself that you have arrived at a destination, when in reality, you have just stopped moving. Growth is an inherently violent process. It requires the destruction of your old self to make room for the new. Think of the biological process of a lobster. As the lobster grows, its shell becomes a confining, painful prison. To grow, it must retreat under a rock, shed its protective layer, and remain vulnerable until a new, larger shell forms. If the lobster chose comfort, it would eventually be crushed by its own exoskeleton. Humans are no different. We must undergo periods of vulnerability and shell shedding to expand our capacity. If you aren't feeling the pinch of the unknown, you aren't growing. The feeling of discomfort, that tightness in your chest before a difficult conversation or the sweat on your palms before a new challenge, is actually the sensation of your potential expanding. It is the compass pointing toward the person you are meant to become. We live in a culture that markets ease as the ultimate luxury. We are told that the goal of life is to retire, relax, and remove all burdens. But a life without burdens is a life without meaning. True fulfillment doesn't come from a lack of struggle. It comes from the mastery of struggle. When you intentionally step out of your comfort zone, you develop a psychological resilience that makes you unshakable. You begin to realize that the danger your brain warned you about was merely the fear of being seen as a beginner. By the time most people realize they have traded their potential for comfort, it is often too late to reclaim the years spent in stagnation. The cost of a comfortable life is the person you could have been. To truly live, you must become a seeker of friction. You must learn to love the stretch and recognize that ease is not a reward but a signal that it is time to move on to something harder. Lesson 2. Fear of failure is louder than desire. The most profound tragedy in the human experience is not the presence of failure but the preemptive surrender to it. Most people carry a graveyard of unexecuted ideas and unspoken words inside them because they are terrified of the social death that failure implies. We are social creatures, and for most of our history, being cast out of the tribe meant physical death. Today, that instinct manifests as a paralyzing fear of looking stupid or being judged by peers. We tell ourselves we are waiting for the right time or gathering more information, but these are often just sophisticated masks for cowardice. The fear of failure is a loud, persistent whisper that drowns out the quiet, consistent hum of desire. While desire says, "Imagine what you could achieve," fear screams, "Imagine what they will say when you fall." What we fail to realize is that failure is not the opposite of success, it is a vital ingredient of it. No great achievement in human history was born from a perfect, error-free trajectory. Every masterpiece is the result of 1,000 discarded drafts. When you avoid failure, you are also avoiding the feedback loop required for mastery. By staying in the safety zone, you never learn where your limits are or how to push past them. This avoidance creates a paradoxical life where you are safe from criticism but also invisible to opportunity. The real failure isn't a business that goes bankrupt or a relationship that ends. The real failure is the person who reaches the end of their life and realizes they never actually stepped into the arena. They remained a spectator of their own life, watching others take risks while they sat in the bleachers of mediocrity. To overcome this, one must undergo a radical shift in perspective. You must view failure as data, not as a reflection of your worth. When a scientist runs an experiment and it doesn't work, they don't conclude that they are a worthless human being, they conclude that the hypothesis was incorrect. They adjust and try again. If you can detach your ego from your outcomes, fear loses its power over you. The public you are so afraid of is usually too busy worrying about their own failures to notice yours for more than a fleeting moment. Regret, on the other hand, is a permanent companion. It is the heavy realization that you had the power to change your life, but let a temporary feeling of anxiety hold you back. You must make your desire for growth louder than your fear of falling. You must decide that the pain of staying where you are is greater than the pain of potentially failing. Lesson 3. Most people never take full responsibility. The moment you blame something outside of yourself for your situation, you hand over your power to that thing. Whether it is the economy, your parents, your boss, or bad luck, the act of blaming creates a psychological victimhood that is impossible to escape from while the blame remains. It is a seductive trap because it absolves you of the need to act. If the problem is out there, then the solution must also be out there, and you can simply sit and wait for the world to change. But the world does not care about your excuses. Taking full responsibility, radical responsibility, means accepting that even if a situation isn't your fault, it is still your problem. You may not be responsible for being knocked down, but you are 100% responsible for how long you stay on the ground. True power is found in the realization that you are the primary architect of your reality. This is a heavy burden to carry because it means you can no longer complain about your health, your finances, or your relationships without acknowledging your role in creating or maintaining them. However, this weight is also the key to your freedom. If you are the one who caused the mess, you are the one who has the tools to clean it up. Most people spend their lives looking for the person in charge to fix their problems, never realizing that they are the ones holding the keys to their own prison. When you stop looking for scapegoats, you start looking for solutions. You begin to audit your habits, your circle of influence, and your internal dialogue. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I do about this?" Responsibility is the foundation of character. Without it, you are a leaf in the wind, blown about by every passing trend or minor inconvenience. When you take ownership, you develop a locus of control that is internal rather than external. This shift changes the way you interact with the world. You no longer wait for permission to lead, to create, or to change. You understand that your life is a series of choices, and even not choosing is a choice with consequences. This is not about self-flagellation or guilt, it is about agency. It is the empowering recognition that while you cannot control the wind, you can always adjust your sails. The day you stop making excuses is the day your life truly begins, because that is the day you finally step into the driver's seat of your own destiny. Lesson 4. Distraction replaces discipline. We are currently living through the greatest war for human attention in history. We carry devices in our pockets that are engineered by thousands of the world's smartest people specifically to bypass our rational minds and trigger our dopamine receptors. In this environment, distraction isn't just a nuisance, it is a systematic drain on our potential. Most people do not fail because they lack talent. They fail because they cannot focus their talent on a single point long enough to break through. We have become a society of dabblers, people who start 100 things and finish none because the moment the work becomes difficult, a more exciting distraction is only a swipe away. We mistake being busy for being productive, filling our days with low-value tasks and digital noise while our true goals gather dust. Discipline is the ability to maintain a long-term mindset in a short-term world. It is the quiet, often boring commitment to doing what needs to be done, even when the initial excitement has faded. Distraction is flashy and easy. It provides instant gratification with zero effort. Discipline, however, requires you to endure the boredom of the basics. It is the 6 a.m. workout when it's raining, the hour of deep work when your phone is buzzing, and the refusal to engage in gossip when it would be easy to join in. Without discipline, your potential is like a pile of dry wood without a spark. It has the capacity for heat and light, but it will never catch fire. Discipline is the spark. It is the bridge between your goals and your accomplishments, and it is built one small boring choice at a time. To reclaim your potential, you must treat your attention as your most valuable resource, more valuable than money. You must build systems that protect your focus from the endless stream of entertainment and useless information. This means setting boundaries, practicing digital minimalism, and learning to sit with your own thoughts without needing to be constantly stimulated. When you eliminate distraction, you create a vacuum that can only be filled by deep work and introspection. You realize that the noise of the world was just a way to avoid the quiet work of self-improvement. Greatness is not achieved in the moments of public applause, it is achieved in the thousands of hours of disciplined, undistracted effort that no one ever sees. If you can win the battle for your attention, you can win the battle for your life. Lesson 5. They quit too early. The path to any significant achievement is rarely a straight line. It is more often a plateau of latent potential. In the beginning, you put in a massive amount of effort and see almost no results. This is the valley of disappointment, and it is where 90% of people give up. They believe that because they haven't seen a return on their investment in the first few weeks or months, the process isn't working. They confuse a delay in results with a failure of the system. What they don't see is that all the effort they are putting in is being stored. It is like heating an ice cube from 25 degrees to 31 degrees, nothing seems to happen. But at 32 degrees the phase shift occurs and the ice melts. The work you do in the frozen phase is what makes the melt possible. Most people quit right at the moment when the breakthrough is about to happen. They mistake the darkest hour before the dawn as the end of the road. Success is often a game of attrition. It's about who can stay in the game the longest. The world is full of talented people who gave up because they were tired, bored, or discouraged. Persistence is the great equalizer. You don't have to be the smartest or the fastest, you just have to be the one who refuses to stop. When you quit early, you validate every doubt you ever had about yourself. But when you persist through the silence and the lack of recognition, you build a level of grit that becomes your greatest competitive advantage. You learn that no is just a request for more information, and not yet is not the same as never. The difference between the master and the amateur is that the master has failed more times than the amateur has even tried. Patience is not just waiting, it is the attitude you maintain while working hard for something that hasn't happened yet. We are conditioned by a microwave culture to expect instant results, but the things that truly matter, character, wealth, health, and skill, are slow cooked. They require seasons of planting and nurturing before the harvest. If you can develop the perspective to see the long game, you will realize that time is your ally, not your enemy. Don't let the lack of immediate feedback stop your momentum. Keep showing up, keep refining your process, and trust that if you do not quit, you cannot be defeated. The breakthrough is rarely a stroke of luck. It is the inevitable result of accumulated effort. Your potential isn't missing, it's waiting. Waiting for courage instead of comfort, action instead of excuses, discipline instead of distraction. The question isn't, can you become more? The question is, will you choose to? Because the life you want is possible, but only if you decide to stop settling for less than what you're capable of becoming.